Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empire Secrets. I'm your host, Mariana Henninger. This is the podcast for online business owners who are sick of the noise, frankly, who want ninja, powerful tips on how to stand out with their digital marketing, how to do things differently than what everyone else is doing. And that's the criteria by which I bring guests to the show. This gal is no different. I totally forgot to ask her how she pronounces her last name, full disclosure. So I'm going to let her do that. I know her as Lucy from My Right Hand Woman, right spelled like writing. And Lucy and I met recently in a conference in New York called Rich Girl Cult. And Lucy was on stage. And the moment she stood up on stage, it was kind of a lightning round of speakers that were coming on stage one after the other. And when Lucy came on stage, I glued my eyes to this girl and did not take them off the whole time she was on stage, because everything she said was like, there were bells ringing in my head going, yes, 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 yes. And so I knew I had to have her on the podcast today. She is the copywriter and messaging strategist behind the copywriting studio that I mentioned, which is My Right Hand Woman. Her words give women founders what they need to stand out and scale into their stretchiest goals. And with a focus on conversational communication, razor sharp clarity on differentiators, we're going to talk about those today, and a consistent brand voice, she's the secret wordy weapon behind global companies, fast growth startups, world famous bakeries, seven-figure coaches, and brands that are breaking molds. And she also has her own podcast called Unicorn Messaging, which is very fitting. Without further ado, welcome, Lucy. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I kind of like the first name only. It makes me feel like Beyonce.
Right?
I'm into it.
Share.
If people really want to know, it's Bedewi, but I'm into it. I'm like, let's
so
bring
funny.
my icon alter ego.
I feel like all my copywriter friends, I know their last names, but I always just reference them by first name and name of their business. So Marissa from Dirty Copy is an example. I introduced you to her because you guys are so similar. I've had her on the show as well. So if you're curious about Marissa, go back a bunch of different episodes. I should have pulled up that number, but she's actually one of the most popular guest episodes on the show. She crushed it. So anyway, you met Marissa, and the reason I introduced you to Marissa is because you two, for me, represent like really awesome, witty, sharp, clear, cut through the noise copywriting. And that's what your message was about on stage. It was like, there's so much AI, just garbage out there that we are floating in. It's a hot mess express. I want you to take over, Lucy, and set the scene for me from your point of view. I've talked about it on the show so many times. So I want to hear from you how you see what's out there in terms of content. And one thing that really stuck with me about your messaging is how easy it is to stand out. So take it from there.
Yeah. So I think there's so many people who say in 2025, it's so hard to stand out. There's so much content out there. There's so much noise. How are you supposed to stand out? It's hard to grow on Instagram. It's hard to grow with ads. Like, businesses can't even grow anymore. So what I presented at Rich Girl Cult that I want to present here is, just because there's quantity doesn't mean there's not space for you. Because the messaging bar of how people are talking about their business and the content they're putting out is in hell. It's so bad. And I'm sure you're scrolling 10 times faster because you know what someone's going to say from the first slide of their carousel. You're just like going through LinkedIn and getting bored within the first 5 seconds. And this is not a secret, or this is not an accident. This is basically proof that there's so much space for you to stand out by just doing a little bit better than everybody else. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to bring back the humanity in your messaging, and you're already going to stand out.
Yeah. Yes. To all of the things. I love that you ended on humanity, which is kind of what my entire brand is centered around. Before we go further into, I never thought it was easy to stand out. To your point, we look at the volume a lot of the time and we're like, I can't be heard above this noise. Like, I need a marketing machine. I need an entire content creation team working 24/7. If that's the route we're going, which is competing on volume. I always say, stop competing on volume. Like, you're never going to win. Or maybe you build a Hormozi style business where you might win, but why win on volume when you can win on being yourself, which is so much more fun, so much easier, so much more cost effective, so much efficient, so much more efficient. Before we dive deeper into that, I'm actually super curious how you got your start in copywriting. I feel like I know so many copywriters that kind of did the most random things before they, started being copywriters. What's your...
We have a pretty quick track. I'm not going to say it's normal. It definitely wasn't normal. I was fired from my first job after 90 days because I left a 7-page manifesto on the CEO's desk of why the company would never be profitable because their messaging wasn't working. And this should have been a foreshadowing that I was meant to be an entrepreneur. And then I was promptly fired, probably deserved. And it was in the pandemic and I was on my mom's couch and I was just telling her, I don't think I'm ever going to work for someone ever again. And she's like, I could have told you that, coming straight out of college with your personality. So I just really went everyone talks about going all in when you want to start a business. And I feel like I did that times 100 because I did 18-hour days in Facebook groups, just looking at what do people want to hire. And I kept coming across this word, looking for a copywriter. And I thought to myself, I was like, I could probably do that. I've been writing my whole entire life. I had been a food writer in college for 5 years and my articles would get 60,000, 70,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I loved writing. I loved telling stories. So I was thinking, okay, this feels like kind of a natural fit. Of course, I didn't think about education. I joke that I didn't hire my first coach until I was already making multi-six figures. I was just I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to take messy action. I'm going to do. So I put out a post on a Facebook group and said, anyone want me to write your stuff for free? Because I don't know what I'm doing. And then I wrote someone's story. I wrote her about page. And the testimonial she gave me was not great work, thank you so much. It was, you're meant to be doing this. I've paid so much more money to have people write my story and no one's captured my story the way you were able to do it. Kind of my market validation, if you will. And then from there, scaled up into writing for more people. And my thing was always speed. I don't believe masterpieces take time. I think anytime your copy's not working for you, you're leaving money on the table. You don't have 8 weeks to wait for a project. So I scaled my business through VIP days. People loved getting their websites done in a day. And then I expanded into more of that messaging strategic side because I love words. I love helping women take their power and create that articulation behind it.
And to your point, if you're not doing it right, you're leaving money on the table.
Absolutely.
And so there are lots of parallels. Excuse me. That is also why I love my copywriter friends. There's so many parallels between what we do. And one of them is this idea that it's an investment that you make. Working with a great copywriter is not cheap. You're certainly not doing anything for free these days, as you shouldn't. But it's an investment that and work that you do once and it pays for itself, 10, 20, 50 fold because it lasts and it works, right? So when done right, it works. And it's an upfront investment that is kind of a no-brainer. Everyone should either be really good at copy themselves and or working with a great copywriter because it pays for itself. Absolutely. It needs to happen. And the better your copy is, the more you stand out. So tell me about standing out with good copy. We've talked about the standard being so low right now that even showing up as a human makes you different, makes you stand out. I obviously see this in sort of other ways, in how, because I don't talk about your regular everyday content as much as what we do inside of my programs, which is creating a single video that carries your story, that makes that impact from the get-go, top of funnel, so that there's actually a lot more grace for your copy afterwards once people have trusted you and you've sold them on trust first before they even look at your offer. But talk to me about your work. So when you work with somebody, how are you doing that work of the differentiators, the steadiness of the brand, the clarity piece? Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. So it's really a combination between what the client gives me and what I bring to the table, for lack of a better phrase. So with the client, I'm a big believer in talk to people. So I get on a call with them. I see the way they look to the side, the way they get really excited when they talk about this thing, or kind of that dry, insulty joke that they give me. And I'm like, okay, we can work with that. And I just encourage people to show up on their calls with me as them, because so much of copy is capturing their energy and then elevating it so it's activating. And so that's a big part of my process. Of course, I send out a questionnaire. Of course, I'm asking those questions what mark do you want to make on the world? What do you feel your differentiators are? And I've found that a lot of the time, what clients already have is they know what they want to do. They actually know why they're different. It might be rambly, but they know. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's my job to find those threads and figure out what is it that people actually care about and what's going to inspire people to move. And then how do we shape the verbiage around that? So when you're saying your differentiator, you're not just saying like, I'm not like this company because our water is triple filtered. You're saying zero toxins in your body. All the other companies can provide you 99%. So it's like you're creating these words that other you in really concise ways.
How do you do that for yourself, Lucy? I'm going to put you on the spot here. How do you market yourself differently from other copywriters? So why would somebody work with you versus somebody else?
Absolutely. I think so much of working with a copywriter is, are you activated by what they're putting out into the world? I encourage my clients to read through my portfolio and see if they still have the same amount of money in their wallet. If they don't, they should probably hire me. But I think when it comes to my differentiators, I already talked about I have a process differentiator. I'd honestly be willing to put money on the fact you'll never find a copywriter who writes faster than me. When I'm with my clients, I'm all in with them. We finish their project before I move on to another project. And that's what allows me to get people in, even if they're one day before their launch. We can maybe even do an 8-hour turnaround time. Like, I will make it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I love it. I love a fast-paced work environment. It really fuels me. And another thing I think I think we often overcomplicate differentiators. So much of my differentiator, I think, is just my personality and the personality that I put on paper. So if someone kind of laughs at my jokes or I write a story that makes them like really feel something, they just like my writing style, and me having a different writing style is enough of a differentiator sometimes.
You know, I mentioned the fact that you reminded me a little bit of my friend Marissa from Dirty Copy. And one of the things, so Marissa kind of focuses on, she does all sorts of copywriting, but her program focuses on website copywriting, right? How to make over your website. And one of the things that I've never brought this up with her, but I'm going to bring it up with you.
Oh, let's
Is
do
that
it.
because again, you have like such wonderful similar styles, and at least to me, like in the way that I perceive and absorb you guys. And so one of the things that I think about when I consume Marissa style is that I'm always curious. So tell me how you would respond to this. I'm going to stop like prologuing this. I'm just
I love it.
but like I am hesitant about using such quirky, witty, like sparky approach to my own copywriting. Like I love it. I love consuming it. And sometimes I feel like I write in this tone, like in my emails and stuff, but I often wonder if I were to use this on my actual website or even on my sales page. I do sprinkle a little bit, but I think that I kind of err, if it's an error, on the side of being a little bit safe in most of the copywriting on my sales page. For example, it's more like addressing people, addressing the concerns, addressing the promise and the this, and then here and there I sprinkle a little bit of quirk or real life or specificity that I think will really speak to people. So my hesitation is adopting the witty copy and turning off a more affluent buyer or turning off somebody who's a little bit more serious. So tell me about that.
Yeah.
Is this like a false belief that I have?
Not at all. Actually, I don't think everybody's meant to have a witty, snarky, sassy tone. I think the first thing I would want to know is like, do you feel like you embody those things when you're at a dinner party? Do you think you're sassy, like as a person?
I think it really depends on the audience. So like if I were at a dinner, when you said dinner party, I did not imagine a dinner party. I imagined like a really formal dinner or like at a restaurant, which is not a
Candlelit
dinner
with like
party.
tuxedos. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So like in that moment, I wouldn't be, Lorelai Gilmore. But if I am, which I don't know if you understand the reference because you didn't react at all.
I know. I always hesitate to tell people this. I don't watch
Generation
TV.
gap right here.
No, I like actually don't own a TV. My
Okay.
friends think I'm so weird. I know no pop culture.
Good. Okay. No worries. Maybe the listeners do, but she's just like a character from Gilmore Girls who's like very witty, like a lot of fast, snarky, comments. Anyway, so if I'm at a really formal event, then probably wouldn't. If I am like among friends or among peers, then yes, I'm more relaxed and I would talk that way.
Yeah, I think, there's two things. There's one, If you ever feel like you're watering yourself down to appear professional, I would argue we have a problem. But if you feel like you're someone who likes to just conduct business in a more professional way, like you have your business side and then you have your nightgowns and girlfriend side, then that's fine. Like a brand voice is a very curated experience. Even though my brand voice might seem very raw, it's still curated. I still have a brand voice guide. I still have very specific sentences I say over and over again because I'm building a verbal brand. I'm not just like throwing my body on the page and being like, this is me, buy from me. I have a very immersive experience that I'm using language to create. So when I'm creating my client brand voices, I'm not telling them like, oh, is your whole personality on the page? It's like, no, is how your ideal client wants to be spoken to at the intersection with who you feel like you are as a business and as a brand, and how are we creating a voice around that? My voice is very intentional. I want to pull people in. I want to make them gobble me up. I want to make them stay. Your brand voice might be, I want to present myself as a professional because I want to show what having a professional video can do for your brand. These are two very different goals. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself to like be sassy for the sake of sassy just because you like consuming sassy. And I would encourage you to take like 8 steps deeper and be like, what is the actual brand that I want to put out into the world?
You sound a lot like me when I am teaching my students how to do this. The intersection, all of those things are very similar in both our worlds, but it's so much harder to do it for yourself, right?
I lost your audio and I'm not sure what happened. And I just want to make sure we're good.
Hello.
1 second. Sorry, I know you have an editor. He's probably going to love me for this. Just need 1 second.
All good. Yeah.
Oh, I think we're back. I can hear you now.
Okay. Hello.
That is so strange. I think it connected to my AirPods, which is so weird because they're in the case, like really far away from me.
Of course.
But I think I'm going to put them like in the closet and just kind of suffocate them for the episode. Just give me 1 second. Do you want me to do anything specific for your editor?
No, I'm just sending him a note.
Okay,
just make sure
perfect.
You catch us on minute 17.
I put them under like 100 pillows and closed 3 doors so they wouldn't connect.
Okay. Block it. All right. Can you hold your mic a little closer with your hand? Yes, there we go. Thanks. Actually, I want to pivot a little bit. Okay, so one of the things that you talked about is feelings over attention, which I feel like I know what you're going to say, but I can't wait to hear you say it anyway. Very, very similar sort of mantra and philosophy that I operate by, that I subscribe to. So tell me what you meant by that.
So I think 2023 was the age of attention. It was all about what's the best hook? How can we hook people in? Here's 50 hooks that you can download for free. I think I bought so many hooks. It's actually insane. And don't get me wrong, it's still important to hook people in. We still have the attention span of a goldfish. In fact, we have a worse attention span than a goldfish. Ours is 8.25 seconds and a goldfish is 9. But at the same time, it's no longer attention. Like, attention is helpful, but it's cheap if it's not backed up by making people feel something to remember you. So I saw this, it's not my words and I don't want to take credit for it, but I saw something that said we're moving out of an attention economy and into a feelings economy where the person who makes people feel the most wins. So that is really where we should be putting our attention. Of course, we need a good enough hook that gets them to actually watch the video, but it's that meat of the video that makes them share it with their best friend or save it for when they're having a bad day, because that is how you're actually remembered and that's how people take action.
You're remembered when you make them feel something. Absolutely. That's actually part of my new slogan is when you watch it, you feel it.
Yeah, I love that.
Which to me is like the best thing that I can do in terms of like sharing on what a brand trust video is just like, just watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch it. You'll get it. I mean, I could explain how it works all day, but the idea that this is the impact that we want to have with our words, with our video, you have to make an impact, make somebody feel something in order to be remembered, in order to stand out. Are there any like practical things, aside, I'm kind of wondering what you're going to say here and if it's going to match up exactly what my sort of framework is, or at least in some ways match up with it. But I'm curious, somebody who is hearing all of this, they're like, okay, you're telling me it's easy to stand out. You're telling me just to be human. How do I actually do this?
I'm so glad you asked this. I love a tangible little moment. So, I'm going to give everyone listening 3 things you can do today. Some are going to be a little harder than others. The first one is use more sensory details. One
Mm.
thing that a lot of people don't do is they don't create a picture. So they'll say something like, you're an overwhelmed mom. But what does it mean to be an overwhelmed mom? Like, I don't know what it means to be overwhelmed. I know what it's like if I'm about to actually throw a jar if one more thing enters my to-do list. So it's like, how can you create this experience that people actually feel? Because a lot of people don't know what feelings feel like, but they know what the manifestation of those feelings feel like. So that's the first one. The second one is get more direct. Oftentimes what ChatGPT is doing is it's fluffing up your message. So that's why you see those like really long, boring mission statements that are like, we empower women through the power of foundation. And you're like, what? I'm just trying to get like a shade that matches. So it's like, be a little more grounded, use less words, and take out all of that fluffy jargon, because that's a dead giveaway that you don't actually know what you're selling. You're just trying to get words on the page. And then the third thing is, don't be afraid to go there. That thing that you're afraid of saying is probably that thing that people need to hear most to buy from you.
Yeah.
So do what you need to do, whether it's like grab a stress ball and squeeze it, or like light a candle, or like run it by your best friend first. Have to get out those taboos, those things that no one else is saying, that spicy opinion. And it can be on brand. I'm not a fan of like be provocative just to get the people going.
Yeah.
It should be on brand. But if you have a belief that separates your company from other companies, then that belief needs to be shared.
I love it. So to summarize, we've got number 1, add more sensory details, add the examples that are real life. I love what you said, which is like a lot of people don't know what feelings feel like, but they understand the manifestation of those feelings. Like they love the throwing the jar. That's so visual. It's so good. The second one, be more direct, be more clear, eliminate the fluff. And is there anything else to add to that
No,
second
it's
one?
literally just cut out the words. Less words.
Cut out the words. Go, be more direct, and don't settle for safety zone, which kind of feeds into the number 3 actually, which is don't be afraid to go there. I heard once from this guy called Harry Needham. He talks about how there are different layers of things. There may be like 2 layers of things that we can share, information that we know. And there's that sort of bottom secret layers, like don't share this stuff because it could actually put you in danger, or, like your address on the internet, or things like that, your social security number. But try to go to just before that. Try to go to like, obviously not, that doesn't mean share the picture of your house necessarily, but it means like, what are the things that you can share that a little bit more would be dangerous, but you're right at that sort of zone where you're past that comfort zone and you're sharing more from the inside, which is funny. I want to talk about your new offer if you'd like to share that.
Yeah.
I definitely want to send people to your quiz because I took your quiz. It's called the Brand Messaging Superpower Quiz, and it's so much fun. I haven't taken like a magazine quiz in years, but this felt like the best one I've ever taken.
So that's such
like,
a nice
by far,
compliment.
yes, it was like probably the best. I felt like I was flipping through Cosmo. I felt like I had a pen in my hand, and it was enjoyable to walk through the questions, walk through the answers. Like, don't do it how I did it, which was at a table with other women that we were all like chatting, and I was like, I need to pay, like, I want to do I want to enjoy this. Like, I don't want to just like go through this. So her brand messaging superpower quiz is going to be linked in the show notes. Definitely grab that. It's so much fun. But I know that you created a membership offer recently. I want you to share whatever you'd like to share on that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've been noodling on something, and here I am like sharing something that is right before the danger zone because it's so fresh and it's so
but that's
raw.
the best.
Like,
then we get to see your like real feelings.
I know, it's like happening. I share a lot of behind the scenes on my podcast, so my listeners are used to hearing me ramble about these things that haven't yet happened, but they're in my head and they're coming together. But I've been thinking a lot about how can I share more of the behind the scenes of my business, whether that's like a really janky vlog on YouTube, right? Where I'm just like videoing snippets and things I'm doing, decisions I'm making, what am I thinking about that's leading me to make XYZ decisions, which in my mind is going to be interesting to absolutely no one but myself in the future. That's okay. Like, I'm not doing it for the viewers, but I do hear folks like Hermosi saying like, man, if Bezos, if Musk, if all of these like super powerful, super successful business owners, regardless of their, what they actually stand for, if they had documented what it was like to really begin these companies from scratch, like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, how fun would that be, right? If we had a record of these businesses actually being built in the early days. So anyway, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And that would be very raw. I sometimes I think about like, okay, what is that going to do to my really affluent clients who, are expecting to work with a business, and they do, right? Like, I know that the level and quality of service I provide is top notch.
Yeah.
But there's still like the inner workings that are messy, like, do I really want to share that sometimes? I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. I think people are nosy and people love to see the inner workings. I work with a really affluent clientele as well. I work with women who are making 100K a month just from, selling their expertise and selling their gifts. And I just feel so honored that they choose me to tell their stories. And not once has someone ever been like, your messy house on your Zoom call made me like, rethink hiring you. We just talk about the fact that like my oatmeal exploded 3 minutes before this call. And like, I'm chaotic and proud of it. Like, that's how I'm able to do things so quickly. So I would like view your, let's call them shortcomings or flaws or things that make you not perfect as superpowers, because you can't be someone without having some sort of counter reaction. So if people see the behind the scenes, I'd challenge you to have the mindset of like, do you think they would love you more? Do you think they would be like, wow, she like really overcame this problem that not a lot of people could overcome, and like it makes her videos even better. So instead of viewing it as like a messy behind the scenes, it's like rocket fuel for your best to come.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to write that down like on a Post-it that I can review often. Thank you so much, Lucy, for saying that. I love the exploded oatmeal. Once again, a very sensory, visual, and thing that you just threw in there. What was there was like one last thing I was going to share on that note. I can't remember. I'll probably remember it as soon as we say goodbye.
It's always like that.
I know, right? Anyway, I'm just going to let you go ahead and share what you'd like about your new membership. And then once again, we have that brand messaging superpower quiz in the show notes, and then we'll sign out.
I love that. Yeah. So Unicorn Messaging is the name of my podcast, but it's also the name of my membership. And I had been noodling on a membership for a really long time. For so long, I've just been doing done for you copywriting services. And I'm not the kind of person that's like, I want to get out of the doing and into the teaching. Like, I really want both, and I believe I can have both. So with this one, it's for the business owner who's already very confident in their messaging, but they want a professional in their pocket for help. They want ongoing education. They want to know how to take like their good base of writing and their good base of messaging and just make it incredible. And that's why I called it Unicorn Messaging, because in this space, in this group space, you see me roasting other people's copy. We co-create messaging together in co-working calls. I give trainings every single month. And it's really like, please don't come. It's not for the person who truly doesn't know how to sell their offers and their messaging. It's for people that know they're playing at good when they're meant to be exceptional. And I give those little messaging tweaks that someone needs to get someone to be like, oh, this is my person, as soon as they land on your side of the web. So it's really this group of very powerful women that are ready to use words to elevate to that next level. Usually it's getting to that multi-6-figure or 7-figure mark. So I'm really excited. I have 6 unicorns in there right now. I just launched it last week. Thank you. And excited to bring more incredible women into this space, because I think so many women spend so much money on like mentorship, which is great. I'm very pro coaching, but messaging's relatively cheap to fix, and the right messaging has the power to really springboard you into maybe where you've been looking to go for the past few years.
Love it. Lucy, I can't wait to pay a bit more attention to you online. I feel like, well, here's the thing. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with you.
No, I love it.
It's me. It's not you. And that's because I installed this app on my phone. I talked about it at the time of recording last week's episode. So it would have been, just if anyone is curious about this app, I talked about it on the episode that dropped on September, and it basically keeps me from scrolling now.
I think I have a brick, like the physical device, and I like tap in, tap out, because
yes,
like I said earlier in the episode, I don't own a TV. Like, I don't believe in wasting time. Call me like a toxic hustle bro. I don't care. But I just would way rather, if I have free time, like go out with my friends or go play a sport or read a book. Like I don't want to get caught in cycles of screens.
Yes, I love that. So for that reason, I feel like, man, I'm sure she's putting out like witty gems all day and I'm not. And maybe you're not.
I do post daily. That's
like,
my thing. Yeah, I carve out a little time. So
yes. And anyway, so we'll also leave your socials
amazing.
On the show notes. Lucy, thank you so much.
Thank
it was
you.
such an I knew it was gonna be fun. It was definitely fun chatting with you.
I so appreciate it.
Yay. All right, everyone. Thank you for another episode of Empire Secrets. Make sure to check out, I feel like I mentioned this quiz like 20 times. Is that good? Take Lucy's quiz, and I'll see you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.